This video is about how I almost worked for a feminist company. So if you watch my videos, you're going to know my views on feminism. My mother was an ultra-feminist, and she was extremely abusive. Even when I was 18 years old, thank God I got out of the house, and I don't speak to her anymore. So I listened to her feminism my entire childhood. It's absolute nonsense, the things that she got away with saying. And none of it's based on facts. She's just saying things as a form of power. So when I became a computer programmer, and I lived in New York City, and I did a job interview at a feminist company. And I believed it was called Village.com. And Village.com, when I went in for the interview, they had like 50 employees. It was one giant room. And of course, there's going to be offices. And it was all women. Everywhere I looked, I saw women. They were young, blonde women sitting at their computers. One of them took a glance over at me, didn't smile or anything, like a woman in America is going to ever smile at me. And I went into a little tiny room. A woman interviewed me. She had a little bit of energy. She was excited to be interviewing me. And she pointed at a computer. And she said, "Oh yeah, that's our computer." She was talking about like my job. And it's not like a desktop. It's like there's servers and stuff. And I only remember seeing one, and it was in a very small room, like a closet. And we went into this room that's, look how big this room is. It was a room that might have been smaller than this, and she sat across from me. I kind of remember it was enough room for her to sit across from me with a very small table. And she interviewed me, and she told me that I was the most qualified for the job, which I probably was. I've been programming since I was 12. I am a total computer nerd. And she said the job paid $50,000, and she knew that I made less. She knew that I made more than that. I was making like $70,000. And I told her, well, that doesn't mean I'm not going to take the job. But she was worried that if she hired me, that I would be looking for a job somewhere else. And $50,000 is enough to live on in New York City. I did it on 38. But one of the things that I know about living in New York is that when you get paid $70,000, your money starts to just incrementally grow because I don't spend that money. So when I was making $70,000, I was just pocketing cash. I was traveling on vacations and pocketing cash. Having that extra money is really good. And she showed me resumes of some of the other applicants, and she laughed. And because in some countries you put your photo on the resume. In Colombia, I know it's done that way. I used to have a business there, and 99% of the applicants put their photo on their resume. And she showed me this one guy, and it was the nerdiest guy you could imagine. He wasn't the complete worst nerd, but maybe he has his eyes closed or something like that, and he was maybe Indian or Pakistani. And it was just a funny looking photo. And she showed it to me, and she laughed. So these are the people that applied. And she told me that it was a woman's, not the word I would use. She told me it was a woman's website, and I had probably heard of it because I knew all the big players at the time. Because I had worked at top companies. The companies I worked with were the top 10 companies on the internet at the time that I worked for them. And so we did the interview, and that was it. And she did not contact me again. And I know from experience that I must have gotten another job in a very, very short time thereafter because I was never unemployed for more than a few days. And like in one day, I would lose my job, and then I would schedule 2 or 3 interviews, and then I would get a job like the next day. I never went a week without a job or anything like that because I was very qualified, and I had a good presentation, had lots of experience, and a wide variety of experience. I knew a lot about how the internet worked. And then when 9/11 came, there were no more interviews. It took me from September 11th. I know I did, okay, after September 11th, I did one interview, and it was on December 31st. And before that, I didn't go a day unemployed for years. So the economy got hit, and 200 people applied, and they picked me over 200 people. So that's another example. I'm really talented at what I do. And I had to take a test on the internet, like a certification test. It wasn't a test that they created. They found another company that does, here's a test you give to someone who is applying for a job to show his knowledge, and I got the highest score. That's what he told me. Okay, so I just wanted to let you know that it's true. I did almost work for a feminist company.